All right, the first of the two topics I wanted to address on the podcast today. There's a place here in Georgia County, Coffee County. It's way down south in the state, not too far from the Florida state line south of Coffee County and the Alabama state line west of Coffee County. It's a rural county. I think there are only about 60,000 people in the entire county. It's really Southern Gothic. If you ever were to go, and I don't know why you would, to Coffee County, Georgia, you would find yourself in a different decade, maybe the 1950s or maybe even the 1940s. I traveled through Coffee County years and years and years ago. Matter of fact, I mentioned it, although I used a different location in the book that I wrote about how Chuck and Jerry and I were caught by a local sheriff and what we went through. And it is funny. You ought to read the book. You can order it at MikeMalloy.com if you want to. Coffee County. Coffee County. Keep it in mind. Now, prosecutors here in Atlanta who have been investigating for, 2 years now, efforts to destroy democracy in the state of Georgia by overturning the 2020 election results. They're in possession, these prosecutors are now in possession of text messages and emails that directly connect members of the Orange Bastard's legal team, his lawyers, to this early 2021 breach, invasion, breaking and entering into the voting system, what am I trying to say? The election bureau in Coffee County. You may have seen the videos where you see 3 or 4 white people breaking into the Board of Elections in Coffee County. Okay. Now, as an aside, it's part of the story. As you know, the Fulton County District Attorney, Fani Willis, is going to seek charges against more than a dozen individuals when her prosecutory team presents its case before a grand jury this week. And several individuals involved in the voting system's breach in Coffee County are among those who will probably face charges in this criminal probe that Fani Willis has put together, and it is a monster. It's my understanding. She has all sorts of people that are going to be indicted. The investigators in this whole Georgia criminal probe, the people that work out of Fani Willis's office, have long suspected that this breaking and entering the Board of Elections in Coffee County was not some happenstance effort that came from a bunch of sympathetic Trump supporters in this rural 1950s heavily Republican Coffee County. And Trump won the county by nearly 70% of the vote. Why it wasn't 98%, I have no idea. But he won the county by 70% of the vote. But the investigators working for Fani Willis, they put together enough evidence now to indicate it was a top-down criminal activity by Trump's team to get their hands on voting software. And they picked Coffee County because it is so isolated from any kind of outpost of civilization. Who gives a shit about Coffee County, right? I will guarantee you the first time you've ever heard of Coffee County is right now, unless you listen to what I had to say about this on the weekend. But no, Coffee County, what the hell is Coffee County? So Trump's filthy lawyers, these son of a bitches who should be arrested themselves and probably will be, they decided to break into the Board of Elections to get the software. Why do they want the software? Well, so they can alter the software in other areas where they wanted to commit their crimes. The vote in Coffee County did not require tampering. The Orange Bastard won 70% of the vote. Anyway, Now, Trump's scum, especially his scummy, filthy lawyers and the operatives who broke into this place, they wanted to access voting systems after the election as part of the broader push to come up with what they would call evidence that could back up the orange bastard's bullshit claim of widespread fraud. So the idea, we've got to get our hands on some of these software and show how easily it was altered. By who? Hugo Chavez? Anyway, so Trump's call in January 2021 to the Secretary of State here, Brad Raffensperger, and efforts to put forward these fake electors, those, the call and the fake electors has been considered by national media to be the key pillars of Fani Willis's criminal probe. But this voting system breach in Coffee County has quietly been developed as an area of extreme focus for investigators. And this happened about a year ago. Since then, and this is a part that is singularly disgusting to show you the extent to which Trump controls his cult members. Since then, new evidence has slowly been uncovered about the role of Trump's attorneys and the operatives they hired, and how this breaking and entering, as well as others like it in key states, how those breakings and enterings factored into broader plans for overturning the election, especially in the 5 states, or was it 7 states, that the criminal attorney general of Texas tried to, filed a lawsuit to overturn the election, and the Supreme Court said, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, taken together, the text messages that have been uncovered and other court documents now that Fani Willis's people have put together show how Trump's lawyers and a group of hired operatives tried to access Coffee County's voting systems in the days before the January 6th insurrection. And, these people were just working on this continued and desperate hunt for something they could turn into proof of widespread fraud so they could delay certification of Biden's electoral victory. Last year, according to CNN, a former Trump official testified under oath to the J6 committee, the House J6 committee, select committee, that plans to access voting systems in Georgia were discussed in meetings at the White House, including in the Oval Office, including Donald Jesus Trump. I think it's time for maybe people who do not understand the degree to which the orange bastard, Donald Jesus Trump, was the organizer and the chief operator of all this crime to destroy America. And I keep thinking about the people, well, let's see, Iowa State Fair over the weekend, was it Iowa? Where some of these dumb bastards showed up, these candidates. What the fuck is with these people? These people who are running against Trump. What is this? I mean, what a shit show of idiots. And there was Trump. And all these white people clustering around him like flies around a dung heap. I mean, what is wrong with these people? Well, that's right. The testimony given under oath by all these Republicans, all these Trumpers, all these members of Trump's government, all that information was nothing more than a plot put together by George Soros. We know that to be the truth, don't we? 6 days before these operatives broke into and started stealing these voting systems, the local elections official in Coffee County who helped facilitate the break-in sent what is referred to as a, quote, written invitation, end quote, to attorneys working for the Orange Bastard. And that is according to the text messages secured by CNN. Now, investigators in Fani Wilson's case have looked very closely at the actions of various individuals who were involved, including a person named Misty Hampton. That's her name, Misty Hampton. She's a former Coffee County elections official who wrote the letter of invitation referenced in these text messages. Come on down, boys. I'll be there with a key. So you don't have to, break and enter, as Malloy is saying right now. I'll just unlock the goddamn door for you. That's still breaking and entering. But there's her invitation in text messages and other documents that have been turned over to prosecutors. That's according, again, to CNN. We'll soon know, right? And the investigators have also examined the involvement of Trump's dog, Rudy Giuliani, who was told last year he was a target of this investigation in Fulton County. And this psychotic person from some other star system and Trump lawyer, Sidney Powell, and she, or it, was part of the probe, according to people familiar with this whole thing. And that letter of invitation from a former elections official in Coffee County, and I will guarantee you that old Misty Hampton, the former Coffee County elections official, I'll guarantee you she goes to church twice on Sunday and every Wednesday night for prayer meeting. I would stake my goddamn life on it. She's a Christian. Of course she's going to be involved in a crime to destroy democracy in this country. Of course. On January 1st, 2021, note the date, a few days ahead of the January 7th voting systems breach, Catherine Freese, an attorney, quote, quote, working with Giuliani and the thing named Sidney Powell and other Trump allies, shared, quote, a written invitation, end quote, to examine voting systems in Coffee County with a whole group of Trump allies. They would all show up there. Maybe somebody would bring in some sweet tea. Huh? What do you think? Y'all don't know what sweet tea is? Well, look it up. Now, the group of violators included members of Sullivan Strickler. That's a law firm hired by Trump's attorneys to examine voting systems. Maybe it's not a law firm. Whatever the hell it is, it was hired to examine these voting systems in this tiny little Georgia county. Again, according to text messages CNN got their hands on. Now, that same day is when Miss Freese, Catherine, I'll guarantee you she's a good Christian too. If you knew South Georgia the way I know South Georgia, you would understand why I very unreservedly identify all these people as Christians who go to church 3 times a week. Trust me, I know. But that same day, old Catherine sent this letter of invitation to come to Coffee County, Georgia. She sent it to former police commissioner and felon Bernie Carrick, that son of a bitch who went to prison. You remember Bernie Carrick? Oh, my God. Carrick was working with Giuliani to manufacture evidence that would back up their bullshit claims of voter fraud. That's according to court documents filed as part of this ongoing civil case. Not this one, but a different one. And Catherine Freese then notified operatives who carried out the Coffee County breach and others working directly with Giuliani that Trump's team had gotten written permission to invade this elections headquarters in Coffee County. Written permission to break in and steal shit. Wow. I continue to hope that the day will come when I see this son of a bitch perp walked out of someplace and put into a police van, federal, state, local, I don't give a shit, and taken away. And that we never have to hear his filthy mouth again. Never. Never. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.